Namaste. I'm going to give you a kriya for believing in yourself. For those of you who are watching this video, a lot of you are pioneers. So, movers and shakers, dreamers, pioneers, front runners, ahead of the trend, right? These kind of individuals need to believe in themselves. In our world, we know, we tend to follow each other, we tend to copy each other. It's called same, repeat. And a lot of us, we get caught in that, where it's the same, repeat. And creativity becomes very dull. It becomes very dim, right? It becomes seen that, heard that, been there, done that, and it loses its muse, right? It loses its inspiration, because it loses its authenticity within the individual, right? Because the individual and the authenticity of that person is really a front runner, is really a fearless person. But when we kind of, a lot of people they're like, I'm just waiting for somebody else to make the change, and then I'm gonna go, what is it called? I'm gonna go in the gravy train, right? That's what people do, right? We know this. So when it comes to individuals such as Mr. Rogers, right, he was a pioneer. He presented a new idea, something that wasn't done before, right? Something that was kind of a mover and shaker, that was a little bit uncertain, a little bit questionable, such as J.K. Rowling. And we think of Harry Potter. That was something that was very, very original, very fresh, something that wasn't done before. And also during the time, she was a female writer, right? She was a female writer, and at that time, again, women were, right? It wasn't as accepted to be a female writer of a very massive body of work, right? And we have other individuals, that so many individuals, that they had this vision, but the vision was very futuristic. It was very sort of edgy and indifferent and out of the box and kind of very vibrant and exuberant, but something that wasn't in the same repeat, right? A lot of us, we drink from the same Kool-Aid, and we call that satisfaction, right? But a lot of us who are in this position, well, we're dreamers, we do have to believe in ourselves, right? Because many times people rather just go for the same repeat. But at the end of the day, the individual who has the most exuberance is usually the individual people are most captivated by and interested in, right? Because that's what we all want. We want exuberance. We don't just want our creativity to just be dull and dim and same and copying and like everything else that really doesn't move us. We want to be moved to the next level. That's just who we are as beings that want to expand and grow and heal and excel. So our heart, right, our heartbeat is very much about connecting with our future self, right? About getting us where we need to go, right? And those of us who are intuitive and follow our heart tend to be those who are already in the future self, right? And they're just doing the sort of building blocks for that future self. And those of us who are just doing same repeat, who resist change, who resist their heart, who resist following their resist following the beat of their own heart. A lot of those people, their future self, they can't even connect with that, or they're like, there is no sort of link at all, right? And therefore they don't know how to create building blocks for their future self, because they have no vision of it. Because the vision of the future self only becomes apparent when we start to move ahead of the trend, when we start to become a pioneer, when we start to have insight and foresight, and when we start to really look at ourselves as expansion, not as, let me just keep repeating everything that's being repeating and copying everything, right? Those individuals who tend, like I said, J.K. Rowling and Mr. Rogers, These people are too. These are my sort of expanders, but you can find your own. These two expanders very much could see their future self. They had that vision. They saw the excitement of the younger generation, right? Because a lot of the future self is really about, you are aware of the transformation the younger generations, not just the younger generation, but the turning of the planet once. You're aware that every new generation, every new sort of revolution that happens on this planet, and you're talking about the turning of a decade or the turning of a generation, there's always transformation. And those of us who tend to be very intuitive and very much dreamers and have that sort of vision of our future self are aware of that. But there comes a time when we're doing the building blocks and there's a lot of questioning and there's a lot of doubt and there's a lot of uncertainty, because what you have to offer isn't drinking from the Kool-Aid, right, that everybody's drinking from, right? You have to really believe in yourself, right? Because you will be tested and you will be challenged by the universe. And that's just the universe's way of giving you the merit you need. So when you pass those tests and when you face those challenges and believe in yourself instead of shrink and collapse and settle and just drink from the Kool-Aid that everybody does, right? Instead of doing that, you really keep healing, growing, and excelling and just keep moving forward, right? You gain merit. You gain merit to who you are and what you have to offer and the change you bring. You have merit, right? And that's what God, the universe, wants you to have merit, right? So in these times where we're being tested and we're being tried and we're going through these challenges where we're like, what's going on, right? The uncertainty of it all, or the perseverance or the endurance of it all, or the tolerance of it all, really, we're just gaining our merit, right? Because when we do, you could say like J.K. Rowling or Mr. Rogers, these individuals, nobody could discredit them. Nobody. J.K. Rowling, Mr. Rogers had so much merit to what they were, so believable. They had so much merit that nobody could discredit them, and nobody would dare try even now. Right? Because their creativity was so fed, right? It was so fed, it was so taken care of, it was so nourished by their dedication that nobody can discredit them, right? Nobody can. And in that sort of seeing your future self and seeing the expansion, right? When you're in your expanded self, you're not about, let me go look into the past, let me look what everybody else is doing. You're like, let me look at how I can be a transformation, how I can be ahead, how I can be intuitive, right? How I can be a part of culture and artistry that is the kind of leading force, right? The kind of leading force. So even when we look at Michael Jackson, right, nobody could discredit him. I mean, people could try to do all this slander stuff, but nobody could discredit him. Even Yogi Bhajan. Yogi Bhajan was a pioneer. He was a leading force to this whole sort of lineage that's following him, right? All this, slander could be thrown his way, but nobody could discredit him because he had so much merit. He was so consistent with it, right? He believed in himself, even though everything that what he was doing was like, what are you doing? Like, this is very questionable. Why are you teaching women? Why is a woman a guru? That's not acceptable. Like, why are you doing this, right? Even with J.K. Rowling, there was a period of time where she had this beautiful body of work, and I was like, okay, I want to move this forward, but maybe it's not the time, and I have to wait for the divine timing because I don't want it to be too soon, and the audience isn't mature or ready, and I want to I have to kind of work it out and let the universe work it out with me, right? And Mr. Rogers, his sort of children's TV show, it just came like an idea, and it was like, okay, I just got an idea. I need to create a children's TV show, and I'm gonna use puppets. And at this time, there was nobody doing that. There was no real children's TV show that was about guiding children to understanding concepts and ideas and conventions that were happening in the adult world that were a little bit, troublesome, or about how children can really connect with themselves, and to have fun and to relax and to have an understanding of what's going on in the world, right? And that was something quite extraordinary and odd, right? People, they were like, he's a strange fella, right? And the same thing as Nikola Tesla, but now when we think of Nikola Tesla, you go in almost every building, and what do you see? You see fluorescent light. People thought Nikola Tesla was like, what is he doing? What is he talking about? And now everywhere you go, there's fluorescent light. Every single building in this world basically has fluorescent light, which was something that was a part of his idea, right? And he saw that. He was in the future self, and he saw that what people needed, the change, the transformation. So when we see this dullness, we see a lot of dullness, or this dim sort ofness, where it's like same, repeat, where people just drink from the same Kool-Aid, it has no merit, it isn't really consistent, or there's no dedication, it's kind of like, it's kind of here, there, over there, there's no sort of groundedness with it. Usually that has no sort of leading force. It has no sort of edge or creative edge. Usually it comes from fear, and anything that comes from fear really doesn't have transformation. Anything that comes from fear does not have transformation. A lot of drinking from the Kool-Aid, same, repeat, that's fear-based, right? Meaning you fear expansion, you fear tapping into something unknown, uncertain, but mysterious, but yet something that is authentic, right, to who you are, and authentic to what wants to be born on this planet. Because the same, repeat is not want to be born on this planet, right? Or the drinking from the Kool-Aid, we don't need more of that, right? We as human beings, we want to expand, and we want to be led by expansion, right? Not by individuals who are charlatans or frauds presenting this thing, but then you can easily discredit them because they don't have the sort of dedication. They don't have that sort of self-belief, because they easily sort of collapse, or they easily sort of change their appearance, right? They just easily, whenever the sort of pressure they easily change their appearance, right? Have you seen those people where they just easily change their appearance? Even like, some people like literally change their appearance with like surgeries and stuff, because they want to hide, because they know that the authenticity that they were offering really didn't have any sort of ground, right? Therefore, it really wasn't authentic, because the authenticity that we develop is something that we develop through time, and we develop through our own personal expansion, the intimacy we have with ourselves. And that's what gives us the ground, so that we're not so easily shaken, we're not so easy to collapse, we're not so easily like feeling like we need to grab onto something in order to just grab onto something, right? We have that future self in our vision, and we have that sort of that dedication with, believing ourselves, that we keep on creating and creating and creating. Because you'll see people who really are not pioneers, is that their creativity, it has a max, and then when they get to that max capacity of creativity, that basically their creativity either plateaus or even flatlines, where it's just kind of the same thing but just different. It's called same but different, right? Where, I mean, you can look at movies, you can look at music, and it's just, some of it is just like the same thing, the same appearance, the same kind of story, the same kind of thing, and it's like a flat line. It doesn't really take you on a journey. It doesn't really lead you into the unknown of something. But those things, those sort of leading stories, or those leading sort of creative things, right? Projects, endeavors, those sort of leading projects, they're usually something that feels quite eye-opening, that feels quite fearless, and also feels quite it feels quite refreshing, right? When you keep getting the same thing, it feels quite heavy, right? Because it's like you're piling up the same thing, and you're just kind of building up the same thing, and it kind of it's like heavy on your psyche. But when you get something that feels very refreshed, it almost feels like you're opening up. Instead of getting like more and more of like a buildup of something, it almost feels like you're opening up. That something within you is opening up, and all of a sudden you feel more well rounded than you did before. You feel your perspective, your mindset, your program has all of a sudden been adjusted. And therefore you feel like there's possibility and opportunity that you're aware of that wasn't there before. Right? Right? So I'm going to give you this Kriya for helping you to believe in yourself, because again, the sort of merit that God wants you to have, the universe or creator wants you to have it. And again, this merit, again, I see these college kids coming out, I guess, these college kids that come out, and, they're like, college kids, and right after a year of college, I see them talking about, where's my prosperity? And I'm like, what were you doing in college? And they're just basically mindless sex, intoxication, and I'm just like, that's not a prosperity, sound current. Is that what you've been developing? Like through the 4 years of college, just doing that, drinking from the Kool-Aid, doing the same thing, just kind of doing that? They're like, well, that's what everybody else does. I'm just like, that's not right. You have to build yourself up, and it's unfortunate you weren't building yourself up in college. That was actually the right opportunity to build yourself up, because you're in an environment of creative sort of opportunity and possibility that's everywhere, right? And to not take full advantage, night and day advantage of that, is kind of like, what were you doing? It feels like a waste of time, because then when you get into that real world, and you were not being very smart or strategic about the opportunity possibility of that environment, it's like, wow, like total sting, total burn, because I don't have that sort of sound current, or I don't have that sort of merit that I should have been building when I was in an environment where it was there all around, chances for me to build up my merit. So yeah, right. So we're gonna do that with this kriya, so that nobody can discredit your creativity, discredit your dream, or discredit your vision, because you have the merit to back you up. You have the dedication to back you up, right? And so who you are, and what you express, and what is authentic to you, when you have that consistency with it, that merit with it, you're not so like, some people are so like lofty, and they change their appearance, and then they're like in and out, and then they're just hiding, and then they're going forward, and then it just feels off, or doesn't really feel consolidated, or doesn't really feel expanded. It feels kind of like a sort of a game they're playing with themselves, right? So again, we're gonna transform, because that's the thing with what you represent as a dreamer, or a visionary, or a pioneer, or ahead of the trend, or trailblazers. You represent transformation, and what that means is that as you continue to believe in yourself, and continue to share, and create, not just max out, but create, right? Um, and transform, right? Because about being an expander, right, to a generation, or to a culture, is about you are transforming inside. So the more that you transform, the more your culture, your artistry, what who you are, your authenticity will transform. And the people who, being that leading force, the people will transform with you, right? So we talk about a sort of contradicting yourself, right? It means that you have perspectives, you have new ideas as a student that have challenged your previous perspectives and ideas that have brought you this opening. And that's what we want. We want to be open. We want to have more opening. We want to be as well rounded as possible. And that's what J.K. Rowling did. It offered this sort of opening in the mind of people. Like, it brought possibility and opportunity for self-expression and story and just life. And so did Mr. Rogers. It brought possibility and opportunity that was not present at that time, but that person made it present. Because that person could see the future self and could see, okay, this is what's going to help the sort of generation, or it's going to help with the transformation of the times, right? To help bring people, to help open people up. This is what's going to help people open up, right? And that's what your future self, that's when you connect with your future self. You're basically, the bridge to that is what's going to help people open up. Not what's going to help people keep the same stuff going, be cycling in the same pattern and the high habit, and this, we call it the cyclical cycle that is just stagnant or plateau or flatline. That open up, right? What's going to help people open up to something mysterious, unknown about them, so that they can really connect with something within themselves that is interesting. Because there's nothing interesting about cycling through the same buildup of programming or beliefs or habits that really do not open you up to greater possibility and opportunity for yourself, right? So J.K. Rowling in Mr. Rogers, open up. What will help you open up? Now we think of J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter world at Universal Studios, like that, just going into that park, that section of the park, automatically your whole mind just opens up to possibility and opportunity that's just so interesting. It just automatically opens you up, right? Or when you go into, like, let's say you go into the house of where, right, major sort of albums were recorded, right? The home of where these major albums of these sort of visionary or pioneering artists were created. You go in and it just like opens up your mind. Like, you're like, oh my God, like I'm just opened up. But when you go to, like, the places, or go to things where it's just, okay, it's just like you get this sort of, like, it just feels, it doesn't really feel like you're transformed after, like transformed in a way that you open up, and you start to open up to life, and you become more fearless, and become more mature, and become more optimistic, and become more authentic, and more liberated in who you are. It's kind of like, okay, right? We want to feel opened. We want to feel moved. We want to feel more of who we are. We don't want to be in the same, repeating the same. And that's what you are, right? But the fact of believing in ourselves is the greatest test and challenge to our merit, right? Because once we very much gain that, where we're not, we can't be discredited, right? Over time, right? That's over time. That's not in a day, a year. Like these young people, it's like in a day and it's a year kind of thing. Over time, right? As the yogi would teach, we start to gain this sort of natural, creative expression that becomes so fluid, that becomes so powerful, because we've really gotten to know how to express ourselves. we've gotten to know how to express ourselves, how to expand ourselves, how to creatively and move ourselves forward, right? So let's tune in. So rub the hands together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to chant. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Inhale. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Inhale for protection mantra. Adhgare name, Jugadgare name, Sadgare name, Siddhi Gurudev name. Adhgare name, Jugadgare name, Sadgare name, Siddhi Gurudev name. Adhgare name, Jugadgare name, Sadgare name, Siddhi Gurudev name. Inhale. Squeeze up and in. Press the tongue on the upper palate. Squeeze root lock, chin lock. Exhale. So what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of hold our hands sort of out like this, almost like you can see it in the corner of your eyes. So you see, this is like 90 degrees. See that 90 degree, and then kind of bring it. So this 90 degree, you bring your hands in towards, and you kind of bring it out like towards your eyes. So try to find that angle, right? Like you see it in your peripheral vision, create that angle, right? Do you see it? Look at my arms, it's a straight line, my chest, my arms to the elbow, and then see the hands, the fingers all together, see the arm coming down, right, towards the peripheral vision, healing my peripheral vision, right? I'm going to use, we're going to use this mantra, so inhale and chant with me. Inhale, exhale, follow, recite, repeat. I have a dream, my soul awake. 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 Inhale. Squeeze up and in, root lock, chin lock. Press the tongue to the upper palate. Exhale. Now, place your hands in prayer here at the third eye. Inhale. Exhale. Bring this hands down into Gyan Mudra. Relax. Feel that sort of adjustment in that whole sort of auric field. You can rotate the head around. Feeling up the neck. Feeling that sort of shift in your sort of aura, right? In your your arc line is what I want to say. So, next thing is we're going to use this kind of like a movement mantra. We're going to use the mantra sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 ram. Hare Hara Hara Hare Hara Hara Hare Hara Hara Hara. So basically that mantra is to help you overcome the enemy. Either that's an enemy outside you or an inner enemy. So if you feel like there's an enemy that, a person that, doesn't believe in you or whatever that is, right? Doesn't support you and what you're trying to do, family, friends, or you have an inner enemy inside of you, this will help you to transform that enemy into motivation or to creative edge, right? So the movement and go sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 ram. So Sare. So right over left, right? Kind of, you see that kind of like a cup. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. So we'll repeat again. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Right, one more time. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. So middle finger up like F y'all. And then like link it in with the fingers. Okay, so let's see if that can reorganize. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Hare ha. Hold on, I totally messed up the final part. Hare hara. Hold on. The second part is different than what I was saying. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. What's the second part? I'm gonna get it. Just going into my brain to find it. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. Okay, we'll start from the beginning. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. Sa re sa 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 re sa 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 re sa 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 rang. Hare hara hara hare hara hara hare hara hara harang. Inhale. Exhale. Bring your hands down, relax. So that right there, just the movement, even when I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, like it reorganizes your brain. And using the mantra definitely reorganizes your brain. So that's what we want. We want our brain to constantly be like moving. We don't want it to be like, we want to reorganize it constantly, right? That deprogramming of the brain. So Inhale long and deep, relax. Just kind of feel that in your aura. Feel new things, new thoughts, new ideas moving through you in a new way. Feel fresh, don't feel heavy with the same piling up in your psyche. Let go of that same piling up in your psyche. Bring in some fresh, life. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have our middle finger up as we did, right? We're going to look sort of 6 feet at the wall, right? We're going to inhale and we're going to do like a dragon nose out to the nose. So inhale, exhale. Bring that hand up the top, like about 2 inches above your head, pressing the palms firm together. You can place left thumb over right thumb if you're a woman, or right over left thumb if you're a man. Still focusing straight ahead, something the wall straight ahead, a blank wall. Long deep breathing. The thing about believing in yourself is having a faith in your heart, right? The moment we start to be disobedient to our heart is the moment things go awry, we could say, in the way that right time at the right place, it becomes not as accessible because we lose the magic of our heart. So the magic of our heart is the right place at the right time. And it also, when we follow through and when we're obedient to the heart, right, whatever it's asking, either it's healing, release, movements, joy, positivity, creativity, whatever it is, purging, reevaluating, deprogramming, whatever the heart is calling for, and we obey that and we follow through with that, that's when we start to gain more energy in our vision, right? Our vision has more energy to it, right? Our goals have more energy to it. But when we basically drain ourselves, we drain ourselves a lot, like 30 times, drain ourselves when we disobey our heart and its necessity for us, right? Either that be relaxation, a spiritual bath, either that be purging, forgiving, and we become very stubborn or resistant, our heart becomes very stoic. And basically what that means is we become very sort of set in our ways, and the heart is not about being set in anything. The heart is about, let me transform everything so that every perspective, every habit, behavior, insight is always up to date and never something that's belonging to a memory, to a fear, to a program that is no longer in the correct time. There's a time and place for these programmings, but we are always moving. We're always moving and we're always evolving, and the heart is the necessity. It gives us the necessity we need at that time to meet the time, right, that we're in, the new decade, the new era, the new age, the new chronology, with the most efficient belief, perspective, programming that will help us to succeed in that time, because every time is different. Every time is different. There's a time for relationship, there's a time for independence, there's a time for children, there's a time for career, there's a time for this, that, the other, purging, giving, healing, and the time is evident to us. We tap into that when we follow through and obey the heart. So this posture here, it really kind of forces you to keep your heart open, right? To keep your heart as the sort of the force, the sort of the primary force that you follow, right? A lot of times our heart energy is so small that we follow our head, or we follow just the lower chakras, which is just survival, or again, drinking from the Kool-Aid, fitting in. But when we really have the heart as a sort of expansive energy and not shrinking or small or stoic or just gone awry and all this sort of caged emotions, when we really have that heart sort of expansive and very prevalent and very pronounced in our life, we tend to have a lot more of a guiding force in our life instead of this mental conflict, lower chakra, survival, feeling unsafe, uncomfortable, needing answers, right? Needing to fit in, needing to be reassured, validate, because the heart is not about that. The heart is about, let me fit into my most ecstatic creativity. And really that heart brings that sort of, that harmonization between between the head and the navel, right, or the lower chakras. The head has its own sort of programming, and the lower chakras have its own sort of programming. And the heart is very much the force, the driving force that reparents everything. So if you have programming in your mind, your belief systems that need to be reparented because they're not efficient, they're not really helping you to face the time that you're in with, right, with what you need a tool and you don't have that tool, so you're like, right? And also reparent the lower chakras, such as the survival or the fear, right? The fear, it helps you to reparent your fears, to move beyond your fears. So the heart is basically the great mother. So just looking straight ahead, listen to my voice, hold it. The heart is the great mother, and it mothers your thinking. It mothers your fears in your lower chakras, or your traumas, or your insecurities, or your childhood, or whatever is in the lower chakras. Your subconscious, basically. It mothers your subconscious, right? Inviting in, again, if you obey, it will invite in talents, tools, ideas, energy to help you move the subconscious, right? And it will also help you to deprogram, right, your thinking, your belief systems that are kind of causing a buildup or a blockage or a major sort of inability to rise into the time that you're meant to be in, right? That the time, either that's love, career, dependence, to really rise into the time that you're meant to be in, your growth, your evolution, and to rise into that with the right tool and the right sort of perspective. Inhale, exhale, bring it down into your heart. We're going to tune out with one long Sat Nam. Inhale. Sat Nam. So that's just kind of a little shorter Kriya that is for helping you to believe in yourself. You can do this Kriya for 40 days and you can kind of like see how different you become, right? You can see how more secure you feel in your heart, so the command of your heart, you start to obey that and listen to that, and instead of, when your lower chakras or your subconscious is really, really like fear, when you really are in that fear, when you're really in that mind where it's just a lot of thinking, and really you're forced to go into your heart, because really that thinking and that fear, it becomes just like a hole. It becomes a hole for you. So a lot of times the only way for us to move beyond the hole is that we really do have to connect with the heart. We go back to the heart, the wonder, the play, the imagination, the creativity, the sort of openness, the sort of expansion, the sort of connecting with the earth and everything becoming quiet and still and harmonic and reflective and rhythmic. We connect with the heart when we feel we're out of rhythm, because the heart will always bring us back into rhythm. So if our mind, if we have these belief systems that are creating all kinds of mayhem in our life, right? All this conflict and all this sort of misunderstandings and misappropriations, the heart will get us back in rhythm mentally, a rhythmic intelligence. Now, if we are caught in the off balance, the imbalances or the insecurity of the lower chakras, where we have this sort of energy that is not being just distributed that efficiently, such as we're putting a lot of energy on anger, a lot of energy on lack, or a lot of energy on whatever it is, that really is depleting our energy and creating a major imbalance, such as putting a lot of energy on waking up and just being moody, or putting a lot of energy on being entitled, or whatever it is. When you connect with your heart, it will bring rhythm back into your energy, and what you're basically your energy, the distribution of your energy, so you can start to see more balance in your distribution of energy. So you can see your energy being organized, right, in your, where you have more a sense of victory throughout the day, instead of, I just drained all my energy and now I just feel like I'm like this much energy left for the things that I really need to get done, or I need to have a bigger experience of. So that's why we always go back to the heart. We can deny and escape and avoid and all these things because our fear is ruling us, such as control. I gotta control. And then also the mind, the conflict in the mind, and its need to keep the belief system running, or all chaos will break loose and everything will fall apart and all destruction will happen if I don't keep the belief system running. But when you really feel that major sort of like you just can't, I need to move forward, right? Or I really need to believe in myself, because this expansion, I can't expand with this belief system. There's just no way. Or I can't expand with this fear that is constantly having me drain all my energy, right? I need to go back to the heart so I can begin to harmonize the lower chakras and the mind, so that expansion can begin to blossom. There is no expansion, the blossoming of your creativity, or the next level, or you up leveling, or becoming more original and authentic, when your belief systems are like dusty, dull, and rusty, musty, murky, right? Because it's just really, it needs to be cleaned out. And there's no real sort of expansion when you have that gripping fear of needing control everything, or you're going to lose your identity, or lose your ego, or lose whatever it is that you feel like you're going to lose. So in the sort of holding back, and in the sort of not expressing ourselves, or not taking chances on ourselves, which dreamers and pioneers are, they take chances most people would not, because the people who don't take chances, their heart is not strong enough. Their heart's not strong enough. It's not so much, it's their mind is not, or their navel's not, their heart's not strong enough, because when the fear comes into the lower chakra, and when the programming, the belief system comes into the mind, the heart is not strong enough to harmonize, because the belief is it gives so much conflict, it gets out of control, and the fear in the lower chakra gets so much, it gets out of control, right? And the heart is not strong enough to be like a sort of a commander and say, cut it, stop, right? right? Because the heart is the sound current that really says stop, no more, right? To the belief system that has you doing all this kind of craziness, or the fear that has you doing all this craziness. The heart in the electromagnetic field literally will shock you, it will sting you and say stop. It's not the mind that says it, it's not the lower chakra, it's the heart. It'll say, no more, it's time to move on, let me guide you, follow me now, right? Right? And that's quite beautiful, because when we're a dreamer, when we're a pioneer, we literally have to keep up, and we have to keep keep balancing of the scales so that we never get into fear and then the belief system. We need a very strong heart to really anchor into our navel, our lower chakras, and really stretch into our mind, so that our mind and our lower chakras are always having an inspiration, always having a muse, so that we're never going too much into it. The muse of our heart always gives us that inspiration, that sort of voice of reason, that sort of compass, that sort of guidance, that sort of future self vision that really helps us to stay the course. Because without that heart, to stay the course of that future self, when you just have a bunch of beliefs in your mind and you have a bunch of fears in your lower chakras, it's like, there's no way. You're going to drift, you're going to wander, you're going to delay, you're going to sabotage, you're going to escape, you're going to like, no, I'm not worthy of it. But your heart is the mother, is the great mother that tells you, you are worthy. Keep going. Take that class. Take that course. Go to that tantric. Go participate in this ritual. Have a daily routine. Read this book. Have this companion. Have this partnership, right? Move yourself in a new way, right? The heart is all about move yourself in a new way, right? Open yourself up. Have more possibility, have more opportunity to experience your rhythm and your harmony within yourself. Have more opportunity and possibility for that by doing the action steps, following through, having that participation, having that flow of love. And people who tend to have that strong sort of force of the heart, always, that future self is never something where the belief system is distorting, the fears are kind of scrambling. It always tends to be something that literally you can look out and you can see it clear as day. And that's what gives you that sort of inspiration, because when we really are right in the heart, literally we look at our future self and it literally is like a person we can just see, like looking at a real person, right? When we really trust in ourselves and when we have this belief, we can see it and we learn from that future self. We look at that future self, we write it out in our journal, we do vision boards, we meditate, we do all kinds of practices and trainings and studies to satisfy the future self, right? Because the future self, basically, when we look at it, it basically tells us what we need to do. So we all have a future self in our vision, where it's a prosperous self, it's a successful self, it's a person who has children, a person who has a spouse, or a person who has a home, or lives in a different place, or, has whatever it is. We see it, the future self, regardless of what we think, it always represents the expansion of our authenticity and what we can grow into, right? And the future self always represents a creative destiny, growing more into authenticity, not less. Any future self where you're less of your authentic self, any future self you vision that where you are not in the sort of expansion of your authenticity, is not a real future self. That's just usually a childhood fear. Right, that you got from your parents, and their future self was that, and you kind of take that on. It's a childhood fear that comes from this lower chakra. So in kind of vibrating that heart, vibrating this cosmic sort of universe of the heart that is very courageous, like the lion, right? We call it fearless. It doesn't really understand belief system. It doesn't understand fear and the whole defeat and the whole restriction, the whole collapse. It doesn't understand mental collapse or lower chakra sort of insecurity. It doesn't understand that all that heart really wants is to bring rhythm, to bring harmony, and to make you more authentic than you were yesterday. It doesn't care about how much fear you have, how much mental conflict you have. It doesn't care. It's like God. It's like, I don't care that you have all this fear and all this mental conflict. I'm telling you, you need to move in this way. And you have to figure out how you're going to do that. The time for you is coming, for whatever it is. The time for you to mature, to grow, or to heal, or to, have the next level, or to up level in a new way. The time has come. And you need to figure out how you're going to move that way. Right? That's all the heart says. I don't care about your fear, your mental conflict. It's just going to keep telling you to move in a new way, because your heart is about your future self. It is about getting you to your future self, getting you to the more expanded, more authentic version of yourself, where you're prosperous, where you know how to manifest, where you've alchemized your pain and sorrow into wisdom, right? And working with that heart rhythm and the harmony, we do that through the sound current, such as the mantra, such as the listening to the gong, or such as the yoga, or we do that such as affirmation, such as dancing and moving your body. It's all about getting that heart rhythm, right, when the heart beats, getting that into your navel, when you literally can feel your heartbeat in your lower chakra. You can feel it even in your womb. You can feel a heartbeat, or in your ovaries, or in your navel. You can feel a heartbeat, or literally in your mind. You can feel a heartbeat, where you can feel like you can sense like a rhythmic mantra, like a rhythm that's playing in your head, and it's overriding all those other arrhythmic, disruptive, chaotic rhythms that are going, arrhythmia that's going on, right? And that's what you want, where your heartbeat literally is everywhere in you. It's not caged here and then everything else is chaos. It's going everywhere, so that your whole sort of auric field becomes this constant sort of rhythm, so that when the crises comes, which the crises always comes, that heart rhythm is always that sort of that guidance, that insight, that future sort of knowing, or that movement, or that talent, that skill, that participation, that you listen to, that you obey, and it actually expands you and opens you up. And when you do open up and have more possibility, have more opportunity, you're less likely when the times come and change happens, and you're less likely to be like, I don't know what to do, because the time is different, but I'm not different, right? And that's what a pioneer is. The pioneer is, I am different, but the time is not different. But what happens is being that different, you lead the time that will be different, and you become that sort of force that not only brings that time that is, different, but also you bring in the sort of fullness of what that different time has to offer, because you are that sort of leading force. So every time is different. Every era, every age has something different to offer us. And the ones that really bring about the sort of great prosperity of that time is usually the people who were different a decade before that time came, or that era or age came, and then when that time came, they were all prepared and all ready to go. So when they were, now it is the time that they were preparing and trained for, now they become the leading force that brings about the great sort of prosperity of that different time, not only for their self, but for their people, but also for what's going on in that time that's different than before. They lead it, they bring the fullness of it, and they actually reap the prosperity of it, because they are exactly what that time wants and needs. Because decades before, they were looking into the future, and they prepared so well that when it came, they were exactly at the right place at the right time to a T. So everything, the prosperity of that time became so magnificent for that person or people, right? Because in the different time, they were the different person, right? While the other people were adjusting, they were the different person belonging to that different time. And they were right. What their broadcast, their sound current, their expression happened to be the leading force or the leading energy that was what the transformation was needed, and therefore brought about the great sort of movement for the generation and for themselves and for what it means to expand beyond previous conventions. They were that sort of expander for that time. So I hope that this makes sense to you, right? I hope that it inspires you, enlivens you. So, Satnam.